In The Last of Us, the series was known for people surviving in a post-apocalyptic setting where resources can't be scarce depending on where you were, and literally anything was done in an attempt to survive. Due to the collapse of society, weapons could be in poor working condition at times and were often ingeniously or infamously repaired or even modified. But the speculative scenario is this: could a bottle be an improvised silencer for guns? With relation from lore on dialogue mentioned in the Last of Us games, weapons production essentially ceased with the infection which destroyed human civilization globally. Nearly all weapons used by people date back to before the said collapse. This was why the seizing or confiscating of weapons were a priority in the related media. It was also mentioned that even if a person had a weapon, depending on their location, experience with the weapon, condition of the weapon itself, all might contribute to how effective or not effective it could be in a situation where it was used. Parts for guns of all sorts were somewhat rare, depending on how the said parts were obtained. This unstable fact of gun maintenance or modification, even usage, was incorporated into how the games on related media handled the premise of guns. One of the features in the game was the bottle silencer, where players could fabricate and use a silencer for their weapon to add a sense of stealth or accuracy during their playthrough. An example of lore mentioning the silencer had been crafted from a rag on a canister. They could be attached or removed depending on the player's preference when engaging enemies during a shootout. However, from information now known, player opinions on the bottle silencer were mixed, with discussions having it as a waste of precious resources, and a majority of other players using the upgrade materials for other necessities when they experienced the game. Also on default in part 2 was that the silencer would break upon being crafted to mask 3 bullets when fired, but if the player were to upgrade the said ability, the crafting for the bottle silencer, it could later be used with 5 bullets before breaking. Crafting resources, much as mentioned, were rare to come across through the game's progression, depending on circumstances and difficulty, which helped players prioritize what aspects of the game in terms of weapons could be or would be upgraded and even enhanced, on what could be or would be ignored. Popular opinion had it that the bottle as a silencer for a gun, when used to lessen the sound of the bullet being fired from the weapon, wouldn't be a proper choice for stealth-based combat. Consensus had it that if a bullet were to be fired from such a plastic bottle, it would actually make more of a noise to alert anyone within the vicinity of the weapon being used than if the person firing the gun were to have used it without the bottle to mask the sound of the weapon, as the concept of a plastic bottle being used as a makeshift silencer was something commented by gamers who experienced the Last of Us games of the time. It was something that wasn't technically possible for a real life situation.